Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So now, inshallah, we're going to continue where I left off from the last sitting. I guess you could say the last recording. So basically now, at this point, it's going to be like a silsilat al-hawadith, I guess you could say. You know, it's going to be like this chain of events that just bam, bam, bam. And none of them are really, all of them are just like, major trials. So this is a period now where the first test, of course, like I mentioned in the last video, was the girl dying. And then my dreams come crashing down. All right. Then the next thing was that one day I was at home. It was like early in the afternoon. At this time, my mother, she's not working. All right. So my grandmother, she's supporting us. Because my mother, she's going back and forth to court, so there's no point in her working. I was working, and I think at this point I wasn't working anymore. I stopped. I stopped working because I had better ways to make money, I guess you could say, right? So I wasn't I didn't have any type of job at this time, so I'd be up all night and sleeping through the day, this type of thing, right? So. The girl that I was with at this time, she came over with two of her friends. They were at this girl's house. She lives right. Like I said, all of us. I mentioned this, I think, in the last one. All of us were all neighbors. We all lived on the same street. So they come over and she's crying. She's got major stomach pains, and then she goes, my mother's there. So my mother's like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And she's like, what happened was. They had she started feeling like a lot of pains and she wasn't feeling very well. And then apparently they didn't tell me what was going on because I was busy. I was just out and about all the time. So apparently she had taken a pregnancy test, and then the pregnancy test came up positive, I guess it is, right? So she was pregnant. And then she realized that, and I guess maybe, I don't know, with the stress or whatever, she went ballistic. So as she came over, she was complaining about major stomach pains and all this stuff. So my mother was like, wait, you tested positive? She's like, yeah, we got to get you to the hospital right now. So my mother, she took her, I think all of us, she just piled into my mother's car, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe, yeah, because the other two, they didn't drive. The other two, they didn't have a car because they came, and the girl that I was with, she had a car. So they were riding with her. So everybody just piled into my mother's car. Now keep in mind, at this time, the girl her father doesn't even know that I exist, because if the father knew about me, then he's going to want to know about my past and everything. It's going to be big problems. So she just never told her family, and we've been together at this point for let's say two and a half years maybe, but it's just because we were in school, we were just in high school, so there was no point to tell him, so. And so we actually, what happened was we got to the hospital. She ended up the pains and everything was because of a miscarriage. So she ended up, like I said, she was pregnant the whole time. Nobody knew. All her change of behavior and everything, nobody, it finally got to a point where she started to see okay, something's not right. So that's when they took the test, and then just everything just, literally, figuratively and literally, everything just went down the toilet at this point, and I mean that literally because, went down the toilet along with time, So she had a miscarriage. And that was that. And then the father, of course, because, she's in the hospital. So they got to call the girl's father or the mother. So they show up at the hospital, and it's now we get to meet for the first time. So, the father actually, because my mother, she had already gone back. She just dropped us off, and she'd already rode back home. So then the father, he ended up, she had to stay in the hospital, I think, for one night. Just for, tests and everything, just to make sure she's okay, because obviously... it was a lot of major traumatic. When I left, she was fine. Man, the father took me home. So that was probably the quietest ride I've ever had in my whole life, going all the way from downtown, and it was just a slow ride. No talk, no nothing. I probably said a few things to him, but I saw that he wasn't willing to speak, so I just stayed quiet, just out of respect for him. And then that was it. That was basically, that event right there was the end of me and her. That was that was the beginning of the end of me and her. And then right after that, it wasn't too much longer than my mother, she got sentenced. So they sentenced her to a year, and she had to go back, and she got locked up. So now my sister, she's in college. My mother's gone. The girl, me and her, we broke up. After, like I said, it wasn't like right away, but mainly the whole thing was, I think that we got the most joy out of just sneaking around. The whole sneaking around thing, it added more, because that's we're just kids, just adventure. We're thinking like adventure. So when everything became formal, where like I could go to the house and say hello to the mother and the father, it wasn't fun for me anymore. It wasn't fun for her anymore, because the whole adventure thing was more or less, I guess, what we both wanted, right? So we just split apart. It's just like it just the relationship, it just had nothing really left in it. So we broke up. And then plus, because like I said, at this time I'm growing, I had a beard. I had like a full beard, not like this, like, like it's a full of a beard that I could grow at that time. We'd go to the mall and I'd be dressed up. I have like, like military, like, military clothing, not like, like the military, but I would have like blue, like the blue or the black, I'd wear like all black, like the military shirt, the military pants, and stuff like that. So, I mean, this is just my attitude. And I was very militant. I was very impatient, very intolerant, very, just a bad person, So we just split up. And then, like I said, then after that, then my mother, she got sentenced and she's gone. I'm just stuck there alone. Now I'm at home alone, so it's just like I was really, at this time, really going through it. The only thing I had left was my cat. My grandmother hated the cat, so she was waiting for my mother to go back to jail so she could come and get the cat. So what she did is she came up to the house, because the cat, this was Huey, the all black cat. I told you I named the cat after Huey P. Newton from the Black Panther. So I call him Huey. That was my boy, but he goes out during the day. We don't leave him in the house, So he was out, and my grandmother just scooped up all the cats. Che, Mao, Huey. I think Mao stayed. But Che and Huey gone, She took my cat. So I was like, man, I lost my mother. I lost the girl I was with. And now I lost my cat. I mean, what, like, I'm just sitting there like, what could go wrong next? Seriously. And then I said, the only thing I got left is my religion. And now, I'm about to lose that too. So at this point, I was just like really depressed, I'm just still like I said, we can sit here and talk all day long about, and I'll tell you, even nowadays, I'll tell you, like, you have to be patient. You have to these trials and tribulations are going to happen. But when they first start happening to you at that young age, especially if you don't, then the main thing is you don't have somebody to advise you. You don't have somebody to talk to you and tell you like, look, these things are going to happen. You have to be patient. I don't have knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah. We don't have that type of knowledge. So when I'm sitting in the Damaj later on, and the Sheikh is telling us this all the time, telling us to be patient, you're going to be poor, these trials and tribulations are going to happen, you just have to keep working and working and working. We got that advice, but at that time I was not getting that advice from nobody. I wasn't getting it from my mother. I wasn't getting it from my friends. And the majority of friends I wasn't even dealing with anymore. They wouldn't call me, I wouldn't call them. From the last time that I was locked up in jail, I'm like, forget friends. I'm done with friends. I don't need friends anymore. Like, I'm about making money. And about trying to, like, just trying to do what I have to do, reading books and doing the things that I have to do and make money. That's it. Friends don't factor into this equation. So whatever friends I have that would, like, that I can make money with, or that that I can have discussions with, like these type of intellectual type academic discussions, then fine. If you don't fall in one of those two categories, you're out. I got no time for like friends. So I had people around me, associates, and it was all about making money. And that's what it was about. It wasn't about anything else. Anything that would make me money and make them money, we all worked together to make money. That was it. But we didn't have like these close relationships. We're not sitting there advising each other and trying to help each other. So this advice was not a part of my life. So I just went, boom, I crashed. So it was one night I was actually at a Jew's house. This dude's a Jew, man. But he's a crackhead Jew. He's not like a Jew like what you see, in New York, selling shoes and stuff like that. Not like one of those types of Jews with the curls. But his dude was like a straight up crackhead Jew. He comes from a Jewish family. He's a crackhead. Like, his whole family ended up becoming drug addicts. They all of them are dead right now. The father, the son, and the daughter. All of them overdosed, during the whole opiate pandemic. All of them are dead. So it's a sad thing. But at this point, he had just gotten out of prison. Maybe like that year, or maybe I think this is 99 now. This is the beginning of 99 when my mother went to jail. So he got out of jail in like 98, right around the time that I went to jail the last time. He was getting out of prison. He killed somebody in his house because they were having a party. They got into a fight. He grabbed a knife and stabbed the guy to death. So I don't know what the charges were, manslaughter, like first degree manslaughter, whatever. But he stayed in prison for like about 14, 15 years. His house was just like abandoned. So what happened was some kids from the neighborhood, they went like they destroyed his house. You know, they destroyed it. They spray painted all over the house and destroyed it. And this guy, all the time, he thought it was me. So I didn't know that he was trying to get revenge from me, you know. And he knew I was a Muslim. I didn't know he was a Jew. So just keep this in mind now. So at this time, I go down because he wanted something from me. Something. So I go down and I go to give him whatever he wanted. And he was like, man, you got to try this, man. This is the best stuff that I smoked as weed, right? So he's like, this is the best weed that you know that I've seen on this block. You got to try this. And at this, keep in mind, like this time, I'm not smoking weed at all. I'm not drinking. I'm not smoking cigarettes. Nothing. I'm completely clean. I'm like, nah, dude, I don't do that stuff no more. He's like, nah, you got to try this. Just that peer pressure type thing. And then what happened was eventually, I was like, whatever, man, because I'm like, you know, I'm depressed. I'm like, go ahead, roll it up. And that was it. That was that drop off into that abyss of just stupidity. Just that one thing, you know, you sit there and think like you get tested, like all of these tests. I'm getting hammered, right? Lose the girl, lose my mother, and then lose the cat. Like if I just lost the cat alone, I deal with the cat, but the cat is like the cherry on top, you know. So then, and on top of that, right before all this stuff started, what started the whole domino effect was the death of that girl. And then the dream come crashing down. So the point is, I'm not in the mood at this time, and I'm like just in complete loser mode. And just look at that one sin, that one act of disobedience. I mean, not like I was super obedient to Allah. I mean, you know, but at this time, alhamdulillah, I mean, I was, like I said, I'm going to the masjid at this time. Like, I'm going to the masjid regularly. I'm at the Jummah. I'm sitting there, even sitting in durus and, you know, trying to memorize the Quran. At this time, I was working on, like, a Surah Al-Qari'ah. So I was trying to get back into memorization of Quran. And, you know, we were in, like, this little tahfidh thing. So they were working on Surah Al-Nabat. I was like, that's too long for me, man. But I'm working on it. You know, I'm trying to, you know, do it. But then just bam, 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 bam. 4 trials just in a row. Boom, boom, boom. And then this was the 5th one. You know, and all I had to do was just like, nah, dude, I'm not, thanks, you know, thanks, but no thanks. I'm cool. And get up and go home. But I was just so in that depression mode, so stuck on how bad I feel and all the stuff I'm going through, all this, you know, this like feeling sorry for myself type foolishness, which most of the people, they end up, this is what, like, once you start feeling sorry for yourself, this is where Shaitan comes and he just gets a stranglehold. He gets you in the chokehold, boy, and he just like, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? And that's what happened. I gave in. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll just smoke with him one time. That's it. I'm done. And of course, you know how that goes. I go home. I'm sitting at home. I was like, you know what? I'm already started. You know, I already did it once tonight. I might as well just go ahead and just make a night out of it. It's game over. It's game over. Shaitan got you now. And that's what it takes. It takes that one sin. It takes that one stupid choice that you make just to disobey. Like, you know, like I said, I wasn't exactly obedient to Allah. But Allah tested me. Allah got the girl out my life. So now I'm not committing fornication. I'm not, wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't, and it wasn't like I made Toba from fornication. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say like that. Like, I knew what I was doing was wrong. I knew it was haram and I was trying to get away from it. I kept pressing the issue of marriage. It didn't work. Alhamdulillah, Allah wrote that we split up. And that was that. So now I'm not doing those sins forcefully. So when it was actually a trial, a major tribulation in my life at the time was actually the biggest ni'mah, was the biggest blessing. But I was too stupid to see it. Because sometimes you make dua for things. I was making dua that Allah get her out of my life. So it's like, when Allah answers the dua, it takes the love that she has for you out of her heart. Then, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you feeling regretful now? You should feel, mashallah, Allah answered my dua. Allah answered my dua. There's so many nights I sat there and just made dua like, please, Allah, get her out of my life. Get her out of my life. And He did. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, like I said, you start feeling sorry for yourself. Shaitan gets you in that chokehold and you're done. You're done. You have to get back to, you got to, get back to obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's it. That night started a spiral. Started a downward spiral. Down, 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 down to a staircase into the unknown. Where it's like, I had certain things that I used to do before, like the amount of drug use that I used to do was mainly limited to, smoking weed, drinking, a quart of alcohol, because, in Florida that we don't have 40s. It's illegal. It's like the only state, I think, in America where 40 ounces are illegal. So we have quarts. We don't have 40 ounces, So like I drink like a quart of Old English and smoke weed. That was like the limit of like the stuff I used to do. But now it's just like maybe, once and twice, acid. I tried acid once, went to drug rehab on acid. This was way back when I was on probation the first time. So I ended up having to I was doing drug rehab as part of my probation, and I actually went on acid. But that was like one time, I wasn't into like, doing all the, experimental drugs and all this type of stuff. But with this downward spiral, then everything just went stupid. Everything went really, really, really stupid because like I said, it's just that one choice. And we make these choices almost all the time. But the thing is you got to go back and you have to reflect. You have to be very, very reflective because everything that you're in today, all the problems that you see today, it's all because of a choice that you made yesterday, the day before yesterday, a month ago, a week ago, a year ago. These are choices that you make. Your life is not the way that your life is by accident. Your life is the way that your life is because of choices that you made. You come to this like fork in the road where you have to go to the Yameen, obedience to Allah, or go to the Yasar, obedience to the people. And which one you choose is gonna dictate by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what direction your life is going in. So when I started making those decisions to the right later on in life, my life was going in the right way. The right people were around me. I was getting the advice that I needed. But as long as I kept making that choice to the left, of obedience to the people, of listening to the people, of being influenced by stupid people, then what happened is my life sucked. It was bad. It was completely chaotic. And I sat there every single day like, what is wrong with my life? Me. These are the choices that you make, but you have to be reflective. You have to sit back and look at it and just understand that the situation that you're in is based on the choices. Us as a ummah, as Muslims, the situation we are in is because of the choices that the majority of the Muslims have made. You know what I'm saying? We're not here just because Allah wants to just punish us for no reason. We're here because we have put ourselves in a position. We've disobeyed Allah. We've gone away from the Quran and the Sunnah. We've done this. And we have put ourselves as an ummah in this type of position of being like, nothing. Like they'll sit there and talk about, anti-Semitism, right? And if you speak about a Jew online, you're completely canceled. But they forget that the Arabs are the real Semite people. The Jews are not even Semitic, but the Arabs are actually Semitic. All right, they're Semitic. And some of the Jews, you have the Semitic Jews, you have the Jews that were born in Yemen. They have like Arab ancestry, so they are actually Semitic people. Or the Jews that originated in those areas of different areas, like, because they were in the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they were in Medina. They were in Medina and they were in other places in what is now known as Saudi Arabia. So you have Semitic Jews, but not all Jews are Semitic. Other ones, they come from Europe. So the point is that, but you're not going to get the same rights for Arabs. If you insult an Arab online, are they going to call you an anti-Semite? So you see the type of position that we're in is because of the choices that we made. We don't have any rights. People can insult us online all day. Their videos are not going to be taken down and they're not going to be canceled. They could talk about Muslims, they could talk about Arabs, they could talk about anything to do with this religion that's surrounding this religion. They can burn Qurans online, they can do whatever they want to do, and their videos on YouTube are not going to be taken down, they're not going to be canceled, and their channels are not going to they're not going to get strikes against their channel. But now if we don't have those same type of abilities. So why are we in such a low state? It's because of those decisions that we make. So the only way that we can get back to a state of like strength, of might, of status in society where the people look up to us and not looking down on us is that we have to get back to making those right decisions. And the only way that we can do that is each individual has to start making those decisions in their lives. When I made that decision by the permission of Allah, because it was a gift from Allah, it wasn't something, you see my life and you see what happens to me when Allah leaves me to myself. I spread chaos in the land. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave that gift to me. It was a ni'mah from Allah. And that gift can be given and that gift can be taken away. You know, but he gave that gift of like love for the sunnah. So I started wanting to learn the sunnah. When I made that decision, everything started happening right. Everything started happening right. Everything started going good. All the people that gave me good advice and the people like the good companions and everything that I was searching for in my life, they all came into my life. But as long as I kept making those wrong decisions, I stayed in the dungeon. And that's where we're all going to stay until we open up our mind, until we start to become reflective and start to make the right decisions and getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, going back to the Quran, going back to the Sunnah and doing the things that we're supposed to do. Wallahu musta'an.